If you have $1 million sitting in a bank account right now, congratulations! You're doing something spectacularly wrong. While you're watching that balance like a hawk, the IRS is circling overhead like a vulture at a buffet. Inflation is eating through your wealth like termites through a mansion, and opportunity cost is deleting your future. Here's the brutal truth. Parking $1 million savings in a traditional bank account costs you minimum $80,000 per year. Not from bad investments, not from crypto scams, just from sitting there. It's like buying a Ferrari and using it as a planter in your driveway. Meet Brad, 42, sold his tech company, got a $1.2 million check, deposited it into his Chase savings earning 0.5% interest, then told everyone at his CrossFit gym about his financial freedom. 18 months later, Brad lost $84,000 to inflation and taxes. Brad now watches TikTok finance gurus at 2 a.m. wondering where he went wrong. Don't be like Brad. This video isn't about dumping your money into index funds. That's kindergarten advice. We're talking about 8 unconventional wealth preservation strategies that separate people with money from people who keep money. These are tactics high net worth individuals use to turn $1 million into $2 million while paying essentially zero taxes and sleeping like babies in their asset-protected fortresses. By the end, you'll understand why donor-advised funds are the rich person's cheat code, how to use QSBS to eliminate taxes completely, and why every person with 7 figures needs stealth wealth mode activated. Stick with me until step 7 for the income engineering strategy that turns your million into a self-sustaining money printer. And even if you don't have $1 million yet, maybe you have $50,000, $100,000, or $500,000, you need to watch this entire video because these wealth preservation strategies scale down and, more importantly, understanding how millionaires think about money will transform how you build wealth from wherever you're starting. The principles you'll learn today apply whether you're protecting your first 100,000 or your 10th million. This is about financial education that nobody teaches in school, and it's exactly what you need to know before you hit 7 figures. Hey, I'm Matt. On this channel, I break down millionaire money moves your financial advisor won't mention, either because they don't know them or there's no commission in it. No jargon, no fluff, just wealth strategies that actually work. Hit subscribe if you're ready to learn how the rich really operate. Now, let's get into it. Step 1, the 90-day rule nobody talks about. Here's something wild. The moment you hit $1 million, you have exactly 90 days to execute a tax strategy before you start hemorrhaging money. Not 91 days, not whenever you feel like it, 90 days. Your bank won't remind you because they're making money off your money. The 90-day rule is simple. Within 3 months, distribute your wealth across at least 4 different asset classes with different tax treatments. Because if you don't, the IRS looks at your $1 million like a kid at an unguarded candy store, and inflation starts treating your balance like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Patricia, physician, inherited $1 million, actually smart, executed the 90-day rule perfectly. She moved $300,000 into a donor-advised fund for instant tax deduction, $250,000 into qualified opportunity zones for tax-free growth, $200,000 into a private REIT, $150,000 into municipal bonds, and kept $100,000 liquid. 18 months later, she's up $147,000 and paid 0 capital gains taxes. Brad is still Googling how to time the market. The clock is ticking. What percentage are you losing by waiting? Step 2, the tax bomb sitting in your account. Let's talk about the financial weapon hiding in your bank account that nobody warned you about. It's called ordinary income taxation, and it's designed to keep you from building generational wealth. Every dollar of interest your $1 million generates is taxed as ordinary income at your marginal rate, not the friendly 15 to 20% capital gains rate, the full 37% federal rate plus state tax plus 3.8% net investment income. We're talking 50% tax rates in states like California or New York. Do the math. $1 million at 4.5% generates $45,000 annually. After 50% taxes, you keep $22,500. But inflation at 3.5% means you need $35,000 to maintain purchasing power. You're falling behind $12,500 per year. That's not wealth building. That's wealth disintegration in slow motion. Here's where tax strategies millionaires use come in. The wealthy don't just invest differently. They structure ownership differently. They use entities that convert ordinary income into qualified dividends, capital gains, or better yet, non-taxable growth. enter the Qualified Small Business Stock Exemption, QSBS tax exemption. Under Section 1202, invest in qualified small business stock, hold 5 years, and exclude up to $10 million in gains from federal taxes. Completely. Zero. It's like the IRS said, you're cool, keep your money. Most people think they need to start a company. Wrong. You can invest in existing QSBS-eligible companies through specialized funds. Move $250,000 into a QSBS rollover fund, let it grow to $2.5 million over 10 years, pay zero federal taxes on that $2.25 million gain. The IRS doesn't send a bill. But here's what the IRS doesn't want you to know, and this is where it gets spicy. Step 3. Asset protection before lawsuits come knocking. Kevin found out the hard way that being publicly rich is like painting a target on your back and walking through a room full of lawyers with loaded lawsuits. Sold his startup for $2.3 million, bought a Cybertruck, posted it on Instagram, told everyone at his kid's soccer game about his windfall. 6 months later, a former business partner sued for $800,000. Someone rear-ended his Cybertruck and sued for emotional distress. His neighbor sued for changing the neighborhood character because he renovated. Kevin settled all three for $400,000 because his attorney said, "You're basically a financial piñata." This is why asset protection strategies aren't optional at 7 figures, they're mandatory. You need a financial Iron Man suit, and that suit is layered asset protection. Here's the hierarchy. First layer is a living trust for probate avoidance. Second is an LLC for operational assets. Third is an irrevocable trust for creditor protection. Fourth, and this is key, is a domestic asset protection trust in Nevada, Delaware, or South Dakota. A properly structured DAPT makes your assets essentially lawsuit-proof. Creditors can't touch what they can't reach, and they can't reach assets in a statutory protection trust requiring anonymous consent from independent trustees. It's like putting your wealth in a vault, inside a fortress, surrounded by a moat filled with crocodiles wearing legal degrees. The catch, you must set this up before you need it. You can't wait until you're sued to transfer assets. That's fraudulent conveyance, and judges love unwinding those faster than you can say, "I should have listened to Matt Invests." Cost to set up proper asset protection, $15,000 to $30,000. Cost of one major lawsuit without protection, everything. Do the math. And speaking of protection, let's talk about investments most people don't know exist.
Step 4. The alternate universe of investments. Why invest in the same stocks and bonds as everyone else when there's an alternate dimension of investments the top 1% use to generate returns that make the S&P 500 look like a savings account? Welcome to alternative investments for accredited investors. Once you cross $1 million, you're accredited in the SEC's eyes, a VIP pass to the financial nightclub where real wealth building happens. Not crypto or NFTs, institutional-grade alternative assets. First, private equity. While Brad buys VOO praying for 10% returns, Patricia invests in middle-market private equity funds returning 20 to 25% annually with preferential tax treatment. These funds buy profitable companies, improve operations, sell for 3 to 5x returns over 5 years. Minimum investments start at $250,000. They're illiquid, and your financial advisor never mentioned them because no commission. Second, private credit. Banks aren't lending like before, so private credit funds stepped in. These funds lend to businesses at 10 to 15% interest rates while maintaining first-line positions. They get paid first if things go south. It's like being the bank, except you actually make money. Third, opportunity zones investing, the most powerful tax-free wealth building strategy in the tax code. Invest capital gains into designated opportunity zones, hold 10 years, pay zero taxes on all appreciation. Not reduced taxes, zero. The government said, we'll give you tax-free returns if you help revitalize these areas. Fourth, farmland and timberland through institutional REITs. While everyone worries about stock crashes, farmland returned 11 to 12% annually for 30 years with minimal volatility. Why? People need to eat and somewhere to grow food. Timberland is similar. It literally grows while you sleep. Fifth, direct private placements in recession-proof businesses. Car washes, laundromats, self-storage, mobile home parks. These print cash regardless of economic conditions. Returns? 15 to 30% annually with tax advantages through depreciation. The key? At $1 million, maximum 40% in public markets. The other 60% should work harder in alternatives your broke friends never heard of. Brad? Still 100% in savings. Patricia? 60% alternatives, 30% tax-advantaged public investments, 10% liquidity. Guess who's building wealth? Step 5. Insurance arbitrage. Rich people's cheat code. If you've stuck with me this far, you're in the top 5% of viewers who actually care about building real wealth. Everyone else left for cat videos. This next strategy is so counterintuitive that most brains short circuit when they hear it. It's called premium financing life insurance. The rich person's buy now, pay later, except instead of financing a Peloton, you're financing a multi-million-dollar tax-free wealth vehicle. Here's how. Buy a $5 to $10 million permanent life insurance policy. Instead of paying $100,000 to $200,000 annual premium out of pocket, a bank finances it at 4 to 5% interest. Cash value inside grows tax-deferred at 5 to 7%. You borrow against cash value to pay loan interest. Death benefit pays tax-free to heirs. If structured correctly, you've created a self-sustaining tax-free asset costing essentially nothing out of pocket. Wait, it gets better. That cash value, you can borrow against it for any purpose: real estate investments, business opportunities, buying a yacht. And the loan isn't taxable because it's not income. It's collateral-backed financing. The IRS can't touch it. This is why family office strategies always include premium financed insurance. It's asset protection, creditors can't seize it in most states, tax-free growth, liquidity when needed, and estate tax planning that transfers wealth without the 40% estate tax bite. But this only works if you're healthy, insurable, and have $1 million in liquid assets to qualify. It's not for everyone, which is why most people never heard of it. Your State Farm agent isn't pitching this. You need specialized insurance advisors who understand high net worth investing. Cost to set up? $20,000 to $40,000 in fees and legal structuring. Potential tax savings over 30 years? Easily $1 to $2 million. Do that math again. And speaking of things most people don't know, let's talk about why you need to disappear. Step 6. Stealth wealth mode activated. Kevin's Cybertruck cost him $400,000 in lawsuits. A $100,000 car became a $500,000 mistake because he broadcast his wealth to everyone within a 3-mile radius. This is why stealth wealth tactics aren't about being modest. They're about financial survival. The more people know you have money, the more they think of creative ways to separate you from it. Lawsuits, investment opportunities from distant cousins, sob stories, business pitches, everyone remembering that time you said you'd help them out. Here's the stealth wealth protocol. First, restructure ownership. Your house isn't in your name. It's in an LLC. Your cars aren't in your name. Leased through a business entity. Your investment accounts aren't in your name. They're in a trust. On paper, you're broke. In reality, you control everything. Second, change spending patterns. Wealthy people who stay wealthy don't buy attention. They buy time, privacy, and appreciating assets. They drive 5-year-old Lexuses, wear normal clothes, live in nice but not ostentatious houses. They save real spending for things nobody sees: private education, healthcare, experiences, investments. Third, compartmentalize social circles. Your broke friends don't need to know about your portfolio. Your colleagues don't need to know about your trust fund. Your family doesn't need exact numbers. Information is financial protection. And fourth, crucial, delete or scrub your social media. Every Instagram post is discovery material in a lawsuit. Every Facebook check-in is a roadmap. Every LinkedIn humble brag is ammunition. Patricia? No social media, no public records, no trail. She's a financial ghost controlling $1.2 million. The goal isn't living like you're poor. It's living comfortably while wealth works invisibly in the background. Because the best defense against financial predators is them not knowing you're worth hunting. Now let's talk about making wealth work without working.
Step 7. Income engineering. Not what you think. Most people think passive income means buying a rental property and praying your tenant doesn't destroy it. That's not passive. That's active headaches with occasional cash flow. Real income engineering structures your $1 million to generate consistent, tax-advantaged cash flow requiring zero ongoing effort. This is how wealthy people retire at 40 while broke friends work until 70. Strategy 1. Dividend aristocrats in a dynasty trust. Take $300,000, buy stocks that increase dividends 25+ consecutive years, wrap in an irrevocable dynasty trust, collect quarterly distributions taxed at qualified rates, 15 to 20% max. That's $12,000 to $15,000 annually flowing through generations without estate taxes. Strategy 2. Municipal bond ladders for tax-free income. Invest $250,000 in AAA-rated municipal bonds maturing over 10 years. Generate 4 to 5% tax-free income, $10,000 to $12,500 with zero federal taxes. That's like getting 7% taxable equivalent in the 37% bracket. Strategy 3. Self-directed IRA in private notes. Move $200,000 of IRA funds into self-directed IRA, lend through secured promissory notes to real estate investors at 10 to 12% interest. All interest accumulates tax-deferred, you control lending terms, it's private equity for accredited investors without minimum restrictions. Strategy 4. Royalty income investments. Buy royalty rights to music catalogs, mineral rights, patent licensing, franchise fee streams. These generate passive income, often qualifying for depletion allowances or favorable tax treatment. Spend $250,000 once, collect checks for decades. Key to income engineering: diversification across income sources, not just asset classes. You want dividend income, interest income, royalty income, and distribution income, all flowing from different structures with different tax treatments. Why? Tax codes change, markets shift, income sources dry up. 8 different streams means losing one doesn't matter. Pause. Write this down. The goal isn't generating income you need, it's generating income you don't need, so you have freedom to do what you want. That's the difference between financial security and financial freedom. In 3 minutes, I'll reveal the final strategy turning your $1 million into a self-perpetuating family bank your great-grandchildren will thank you for. Step 8. Legacy planning. Your family bank. Here's what nobody tells you about hitting $1 million. You're no longer just building wealth for yourself. You're creating a financial dynasty that either sets up your family for generations or gets obliterated by estate taxes, bad decisions, and trust fund kids who think money grows on trees. The estate tax is the IRS saying, congratulations on building wealth. We'll take 40% of everything over $13.61 million when you die. For people with $1 million today, growing to $10 to $20 million over 30 years, that's a $2 to $8 million tax bill your heirs pay. Enter dynasty trust planning and the family bank concept. Here's the strategy. Create an irrevocable life insurance trust funded with a $5 million policy. Structure it as a dynasty trust lasting 120 years in states like Delaware. Death benefit pays tax-free, gets invested in the trust, generates income for multiple generations without ever hitting estate taxes again. But here's where it gets interesting. While you're alive, that trust can lend money to family members for business ventures, real estate, or education, and they pay the trust back with interest. It's your own family bank, except money stays in the family ecosystem instead of going to Chase or Wells Fargo. Walk through the numbers. $5 million death benefit at 7% average returns generates $350,000 annually. Structured distributions at $150,000 yearly to beneficiaries. Reinvest the other $200,000 for growth. After 30 years, that trust is worth $40 million, generating $2.8 million annually. Your great-grandchildren are set. But the key is governance. Most family wealth doesn't survive 3 generations, not because of bad investments, but no structure. You need a family constitution, distribution policy, mandatory financial literacy education for beneficiaries, and independent trustees who can say no when your future grandson wants $500,000 for a vegan cryptocurrency yoga studio. Patricia set up her dynasty trust at 45. By 75, it'll generate more income than she earned in her entire medical career. Brad? Still trying to figure out if you should open a Roth IRA. Only 2% of people watching this will actually set up legacy planning structures, but 100% of those people will create generational wealth. Which side are you on? Let's bring it home. You have $1 million. Here's exactly what you do in the next 90 days. Day 1 through 30, set up asset protection structures, living trust, LLC, DAPT consultation. Cost, $15,000 to $30,000. Protection, priceless. Day 31 through 60, execute tax strategies. Move $300,000 into a donor-advised fund, $250,000 into opportunity zones, $200,000 into private investments. Tax savings, $50,000 to $100,000 in year 1. Days 61 through 90, implement income engineering and legacy planning. Self-directed IRA, municipal bonds, dynasty trust consultation. Result, passive income generating $40,000 to $60,000 annually. The difference between people who have $1 million and people who keep $1 million comes down to knowledge and execution. Brad had knowledge, watched videos, read books, listened to podcasts, but he never executed. Patricia had less knowledge but hired experts and took action within 90 days. 18 months later, one is wealthier, stress-free, protected. The other doom scrolls TikTok at 2 a.m. Your bank account is either a launching pad or a parking lot. A launching pad propels you into wealth preservation strategies, tax-free growth, asset protection, legacy creation. A parking lot just sits there, collecting dust and inflation while the IRS writes thank you notes. Here's my challenge. Pick one strategy from this video, just one. Set a reminder for tomorrow to call a professional, asset protection attorney, tax strategist, wealth advisor, and start the conversation. Because millionaire money moves aren't made by people who plan to get around to it eventually. They're made by people who understand every day of an action costs money. If you found this valuable, smash that like button so the algorithm shows this to others with money to protect. Subscribe to Matt Invests for more strategies your financial advisor won't tell you. Drop a comment with which step you're implementing first. I read every one. Remember, having money is good. Keeping money is better. Growing money while paying minimal taxes and sleeping peacefully knowing you're protected, that's the whole game. Now go execute.